Welcome to episode number 46. I'm CJ Werleman. Thank you for joining us. In this week's episode, I urge film boards, movie cinemas and streaming services around the world to boycott newly released film, The Kashmir Files. But first, a quick reminder to click on the subscribe button below so you never miss a single episode. Now let's get into it. Last week, we exposed the lies, falsehoods and communal hatred that sits at the heart of The Kashmir Files, revealing how the movie not only legitimizes violence against Muslims in Kashmir, but also encourages violence against Muslims in India. This is no ordinary movie. This is straight up terrorist propaganda, meant to incite violence and genocide, and we now have direct evidence this propaganda is working. Yesterday, a YouTuber urged Hindus to murder and rape Muslims, including 6-month-old babies, after watching The Kashmir Files. Play the clip.
अगर आप तुम लोग हिंदू हो और कश्मीरी हिंदू भाइयों का बदला लेना चाहते हो तो भाइयों तुम्हारे सामने जो भी मुसलमान हो और जिस प्रकार से इन्हें परेशान कर सको मुसलमानों को जिस प्रकार से करो कोई भाईचारा नहीं भाई इनका यूज करो भाईचारा मत निभाओ इनसे इनका यूज करो इन्हें मौके पे छोड़ के भाग जाओ.
And in cinemas across India, Kashmir File moviegoers are doing exactly that in turning towards fellow audience members to scream hatred against Muslims.
जो 20 साल 25 साल से कम है अगर हर लड़का एक मुसलमान लड़की से शादी करना शुरू कर दे तो 3 पीढ़ी के अंदर इनकी जनसंख्या आधे से कम हो जाएगी. इनकी लड़कियों से शादियां करो इनके बच्चे पैदा करना कम करो. हम यहाँ फिल्म देख रहे हैं वो अपने घरों में अपनी आबादी बना रहे हैं.
And also here. These calls for genocide, along with boycotts against Muslim-owned businesses, are spreading like wildfire across social media platforms. And it's important to understand that this is not taking place inside a vacuum generated only by the movie, but rather in context of a year-on-year upward surge in hate crimes against Muslims. I mean, even long before the movie's release, human rights experts had warned Muslims to be on the brink of genocide. This movie is meant to shove them over the edge by inspiring anti-Muslim terrorist attacks. So I ask you this question. How is this crudely produced piece of Hindu extremist propaganda any different than the kind produced by deceased Al-Qaeda propagandist Anwar al-Awlaki, a US citizen whose YouTube sermons inspired terrorist attacks against non-Muslims around the world? But not only did YouTube and other social media platforms remove all of his content, but also the US military sent out a drone to kill him and his son in Yemen in 2011. And let's be clear here, al-Awlaki was never charged with committing an act of terror. He was extrajudicially murdered because he produced terrorist propaganda. But if we're going to call a spade, the Kashmir Files is every bit as dangerous as the terrorist propaganda produced by Islamic extremists, but for radicalized Hindus. So why then are movie cinemas across the world acting irresponsibly by screening a film meant to incite acts of terrorism? The double standards here could not be made more obvious. But thankfully, New Zealand has taken the lead here, as it so often does when it comes to human rights. Its Film and Cultural Review Board has put a hold on cinemas screening the Kashmir Files, saying it needs further time to consider its content. Needless to say, the movie's director and India's right-wing media is freaking out. Roll it.
Groups are trying to put pressure on New Zealand Censor Board to ban the Kashmir Files. I request all Indians to be united and oppose the undemocratic tactic by radicals with utmost humility and release this film about humanity and human rights.
But Hindu extremists are not backing down, and neither is India's Hindu fascist government. For they are desperate for the world to watch the Kashmir Files because they know if Europe and the United States is fooled into believing that so-called radical Islam is to blame for the dispute over Kashmir, then they can go ahead with their plan to ethnically cleanse Kashmir of its Muslim majority population. This is why Narendra Modi, a man who was banned from the United States for inciting a Muslim genocide 20 years ago, is not only promoting the film, but also using government money to subsidize it. It's also why the world's largest terrorist organization, RSS, a Hindu paramilitary outfit, is also promoting the movie by performing photo ops with its producers. But here's what the international community and movie cinemas around the world needs to know, as it debates whether or not to screen the Kashmir Files. Firstly, the preparation for genocide is now well underway in India and Kashmir.
A warning that genocide could very well happen in India.
Secondly, international community must also remember that the kind of communal propaganda featured in the Kashmir files was responsible for inciting genocide in Rwanda during the 1990s. Remembering it was Radio Rwanda that pushed Hutus over the edge to mass murder 800,000 ethnic Tutsis during a single 4-month period in 1994. Watch.
It was a radio station run by genocide ideologues, and all day long it was used to insult and demonize Tutsis, to say that they were a cancer.
Avis à tous les Guinéens qui nous écoutent, oui, à tous les Guinéens qui nous écoutent, le Rwanda appartient à ceux qui le défendent vraiment.
It's impossible then to argue that the Kashmir Files isn't the equivalent of Radio Rwanda for its ability to incite violence against innocent people. I mean, even Modi party officials are now using the movie as a prop to claim, without evidence, that they have been victimized by Muslims like this phony bomb claim here. In other words, Indian government officials are now using the Kashmir Files to stage false flag terrorist attacks as a pretense to incite genocide against Muslims. Therefore, Western democracies must act responsibly by banning Hindu terrorist propaganda the same way they have acted responsibly in banning Islamic terrorist propaganda from social media platforms. That said, we all have a role to play here too. Launch, sign and share online petitions that demand international film boards to ban the Kashmir Files. Put pressure on streaming apps such as Netflix, Amazon Prime or Disney+. Let them know they are complicit in promoting genocide by choosing to stream this hateful and historically inaccurate movie. This is the least we can all do. But if you're even more courageous, you can go a step further and hold protests where the film is being screened, as my friend Peter Friedrich did here in Sacramento, California over the weekend. Go.
Kashmir Files is a lie to whitewash the occupation of Kashmir and justify the RSS BJP's impending genocide of Indian Muslims. It's a fascist propaganda sponsored by Modi, the Hitler in the East.
That's Peter for you. He's one brave amigo, and he often pulls these kinds of stunts to draw attention to the plight of Muslims living under Hindu fascist rule. So if Peter is willing to do that, then we can all sign and share an online petition that targets film associations, cinemas and streaming apps in our respective country. This is a fight I'm sure we will win. Anyway, that's my tone for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to this channel and help spread the word with your friends and family on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And we kindly ask you please support this endeavor by becoming a member of this show at patreon.com/CJWellman. We can't produce, sustain and grow this show without your help. We offer exclusive benefits to those who do. But for now, good night, good morning, or good day, wherever you are, and stay blessed.